So you'll see here these green beans have come up and they're looking all right, but I have some pretty big gaps in them. And what I realized, actually right after I planted them, was that I'd accidentally kept the corn planting wheel on the planter and not switched to the bean one. So it made kind of a spotty planting. So what I'm doing is I'm going back, and I got my bag of beans here, and I'm going back and just, I don't know if you can see, there's my row, and I'm just adding some back in where there's some gaps, and we'll come through and cover these back up. Not my favorite way to do this, but it gets the job done. And I can't see leaving these gaps, because then I'm just going to be feeding and watering weeds that fill in the spaces. Oop. And some of these not coming up great might have been because we did finally get rain, but we got cold to go with it. And a lot of times when you have cold with your rain and you have a bunch of cold days, your seeds can sometimes rot. If you'll remember, we had that problem last year. Not because of the rain, but because I was running irrigation. So I'm going to finish getting these planted. Got a pretty big gap down there to fill. We'll get these planted, then we'll move on to the next thing. Next thing is I've got some holes in my radish patch here where I've been picking them, and so I've taken the hoe to the dirt on the left side of that irrigation there. Got my little pill bottle of radish seeds here, and I'm going to do another round of radishes. I know I had said before that I probably wasn't going to do that, but it looks like we have some cool weather coming for the next couple weeks. And radishes only take about 30 days. So with cool weather, I should be able to get them in and out before it gets hot. And then if it's hot at that point, this will turn into something else. Something else will go in this bed. But I'm going to get these planted real quick. Just going to do it by hand. Just sprinkle them in these little furrows that I made and cover them back up. And that's it. So same thing here. My carrots are pretty patchy. So I've taken the hoe and made the dirt on both sides nice and soft. Worked it real well. And now I'm going to plant, as many carrots as I feel like right there. I'm going to try and get them tighter together so they'll grow a little better. Guys, wait, look. You got to see what I found. Look, can you see it? Oh yeah, our first strawberry. Look at that. Absolutely perfect. All right. Okay, so same thing down here with the beets. These are all the beets I've gotten so far. So I worked that ground up really well, and you can see it's actually just about perfect right now. It's nice and moist, working up really well. I'm actually not very surprised that that's all the little beets I got. Beets are really more of a warmer weather crop. So, they say plant them with your radishes and carrots, but they really want it to be warmer. So I'm going to get a whole new batch in the ground here, and hopefully they're going to do better. Same thing as the others. Just got my little seeds here. These are Detroit dark red beets, and you'll see the little seed clusters there. And I'm just going to get these spread. I like to spread them pretty generously because they're out here in the elements. They're not getting any kind of special treatment. So I'm certain my germination rate is not as high as these greenhouses are getting. So I err on the side of more seeds. So let's get them planted. Now things are going to get a little more complicated. I talked about needing to thin these onions out. So I think what I'm going to do is I have so much space down there on the end. So I'm going to take my little hoe here and work that ground up really well down there, and then try to spread these out as best I can. I want them at least 4 inches apart. So what I'll probably do is go in and, like right here, pull out this second one and put it in a pile and then take it down there. These are okay, they're far enough apart, but that's what I'll probably do, is just go through and every so often pull one out. If you'll look at this one right here, look at it. Whoop, I almost pulled that one out of the ground. Look how nice it's already getting. Getting pretty big there at the bottom. So that's great. They talk about doing something called ringing your onions. So once they get what I've been told is 5 leaves, so obviously way more than 5 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. At least 8 there. Once they get 5 leaves on them, that you do something called ringing, which is where you go in and you brush the dirt away from the onion all the way down to where you're just starting to see roots. And supposedly that makes them form a bulb. So I'm going to give it a try and we'll see what happens, because if y'all remember, I've never had success with onions before, and these are most successful I've had so far. So I'm going to thin these out, get them distributed down there a little bit further, and get the ones left behind ringed, and we'll see how it goes. So the way I'm going to get these out of the ground is I have this little tool here. Not sure exactly what it's called, but I'm going to use it as a transplanter, and I'm going to stick it in about 1 inch from the bottom of the onion I want to transplant, and I'm going to go down and then pop back up like so. And I should be able to just pull, and see, I don't want to break his roots. I want him to be pretty free. So I'm going to wiggle until he's nice and free. Almost. Alright. He's in there pretty good. This might not be the best idea, but I'm giving it a go. Alright. Lose a couple roots, but look at that. Look at that nice root system. And I'm going to bring him down here. Keep him on the same side of the row, because remember I planted all the same kind on one side and all the same kind on the other side. And so I'm going to take my finger. I probably could have taken that tool, but I left it up the way. And I'm going to put him down in there. Now these, I'm not going to ring these when I first put them in here. I'm going to put these down in the dirt because I've disturbed their root system. So if I just ringed those right away, they'd probably just fall right over. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to come back once they've had a week or so to get established. I'll come back and ring those. But I'm going to get to going on this. It's going to take me a good while, and we'll see what happens. I basically just dug a trench here, got all the grass out of that spot, and then I'm laying them in the trench and then just bringing the dirt back to them like I did up there. And supposedly they'll stand back up once their roots get established properly again. You can see my row got a little crooked, but it'll be all right. Now I just got to go and do the other side and bring them down the other side as well. There's the volunteer tomato plant. Yet to see what kind that is. I need to bring a tomato cage down here for it. I actually might dig it up and put it somewhere else, but that's not going to happen today. But yeah, so I'm going to get the rest of the onions down this other side and get them tucked in for the evening. Luckily, they're now in the shade for the rest of the day, so that'll give them the evening to get themselves situated. You don't really want to transplant anything in the hot of the day, but sometimes you just have to do what you got to do. Good morning, everybody. Out here at the farm, it is a beautiful morning. It's about, I don't know, 58 degrees probably. Little breeze. Birds are singing. The train's making noise. And it's gorgeous. I want to show you real quick what things are looking like. So we've got where I planted those flower seed. Got little evidence of some things coming up there. So that's good. They haven't had any irrigation to them. It's just been the rain we've gotten, which hasn't been much. Probably about, I think we're right at 4/10 at this point for the last week. So, well, really for this month. So about half of the rain that we got in the entirety of last month. So hopefully May's going to do a little better. Looking at this row here, you can see just about every seed I think came up. On the right side there's the cucumbers. On the left side the sunflowers. If you're not familiar with what they look like, these are sunflower seedlings. These are cucumbers. And you can see the starts of a true leaf. I think one down here actually did have a real leaf on it. I know I saw one. Let's see. Somewhere right down in here. I was going to show you what a true leaf looks like. Well, it was here. Oh well, I'll find it when I'm not looking for it. But they're kind of a spiky leaf when they get their true leaf on them. They're pretty easy to tell. If you look over here, I don't know how well you can see them. Black-eyed peas are trying to get themselves together. I think it's just been too cool on them, so they haven't come up real well just yet. But hopefully they'll get their act together. Same story with the squash. There's one or two. Here's one right here trying to come up. One or two little seedlings trying to start. Let's see down here. There's what your squash looks like when it's first starting. So very similar to a cucumber. There's a couple coming up through there, but it's just been too cold. This empty row here I'm getting ready to fill with my pepper plants. Green beans, looking fairly decent. The new seeds I planted haven't come up just yet, but I wouldn't expect them to. We're supposed to get, today's really our last cool day for a while. Supposed to get up in the 90s the next couple days, and all this should really pop with that happening. The problem is our nights have been too cool, so germination has not been a good thing. If you look at these tomato plants though, they don't seem to mind. They are absolutely gorgeous. I mean, look at the size of the stalk on this tomato plant. You see that? That thing's as big as my finger. That's wild. I don't think I've ever seen healthier tomato plants. And both kinds are blooming now. You can probably, if you look real close, probably can see some little yellow blooms down in there. They're looking excellent, which is great. We'll come on over here and show you the new batch of corn. I'd say the new batch of corn came up better than the old batch, the Silver Queen, but it had warmer weather, so I think that probably had something to do with it. This Silver King, we're going to throw some dirt to it and some fertilizer today. I'll try to get some footage of that. We're going to do that with the tractor. These potatoes are looking absolutely fabulous. They're about knee high now. Radishes, they're holding their own, but I'm a little concerned they're going to start bolting. If you look right here, see how tall this one has gotten and how it's kind of coming up to a point here. It's thinking about, yep, there you go. It's thinking about making a flower. Let's see if I can show it to you. It's thinking about making a flower, which I'll let it do. But once it does that, it's not going to do well as an actual eaten radish. None of these seeds have come up just yet, but that wasn't, I just did that. Onions down there are needing some water. But if you look at these strawberry plants, and you might can see from this far away, they are absolutely loaded with blooms now. They are very, very happy. You can see that. See all those flowers? They are doing very well. The wildflowers have really taken off now. You'll see how tall this sunflower is. You can see that thing is about to my hip. This one is about almost to my chest. They have really taken off and doing really well, but like I said, volunteer plants always do better than anything you plant. Lots of weeds in those wildflowers, but there are a lot of flowers in there as well. They've just got to get going a little bit. This hot weather will help them. But that's kind of the tour this week, and I'm going to get to doing a couple things real quick. Okay, so it's finally time to get these peppers in the ground. And you'll see I've got everything from great big ones to teeny tiny ones. I bought these a couple weeks ago, and they just don't grow as well when they're not in the greenhouse. So I've got, let's see, what flavors did I get this time? I know I got pimentos and poblanos because they did so well last year. And I also got, let's see, maybe they're on this end. These are some eggplants here with the purple veins. I got yellow bell peppers, I think orange bell peppers, and red bell peppers to go with everything just because they'll be pretty. And I'm going to get them in this empty row here. And what I'm going to do is when I dig the hole, I'm going to mix in some of this ocean forest potting soil. It's got some extra fertilizer and good things in it to help get these guys really established. Like I said, they're a little behind. They're pretty small, but I need to get them out here in the ground where they'll do better. And this hot weather coming, they'll do really well with that. So I'm just going to dig some holes probably about every 18 inches apart. Peppers are ones that like to rub shoulders or hold hands, however you like to say it. But as they grow bigger, they like to know that the other one's right there beside it. So they actually they prefer that their outer leaves touch one another. So you don't want to plant them too far apart. Usually about a foot, 18 inches is good. So I'm going to go with 18 inches. But I'm going to get to digging. I'm just going to dig a nice little hole. You don't want to plant peppers real deep. They're not like tomatoes. You want to plant them, I'm going to plant them probably just slightly deeper than they already are planted in these things. So if you'll look, see how they've got a little bit of space there. I'll probably plant them up to that first set of leaves there. You don't want to plant them to the point where you're covering any of the leaves, because pepper plants do have a tendency to rot. So be real careful when you plant them, and make sure you're planting them somewhere where they're getting full sun and lots of heat if you can get it. And then they're also going to want a lot of water. So I'm going to get these guys in the ground and we'll see how they do. Something else to mention when you're planting peppers, and just planting anything in general, a lot of people think they've got to amend the soil in their entire garden. And in many cases, that's just not feasible. You can't, unless you have your own compost, you can't go out and buy, a dump truck load's worth of compost and cover your whole garden, when in reality, putting some right exactly where you're putting the plants will be very beneficial as well. Now it's not going to fix this whole garden row, but it's going to fix this little spot. And then next year, I'll be able to fix that little spot and this little spot. But I don't have to fix the whole garden because I'm not planting anything between these two. So I don't need to fertilize and make sure the weeds have good ground. I'd prefer they don't have good ground. So what I've got here, this is that ocean forest fertilizer, and it has some perlite in it, which is this white stuff, and that's going to make the soil drain better, but then it also has peat moss in it, which is going to hold the water better. And then just the fact that it's fresh organic matter for this sandy soil, which is one of the things in the soil survey. One of the biggest issues we have is the sandy soil doesn't have enough organic matter. So by me adding this little bit, I've got some in every single hole, and then I'm going to put my pepper right in the middle of this. That's going to just make my soil better and better and better every year. So there's a little tip for you. Don't feel like you got to cover your whole row. Just put some in the hole where you're putting your plant. Yeah, it ought to.